but I just want to read a little bit further to tie into what you just said. All right. Just a little bit further, if you were to go along in that circle 7 where I was just reading from. One more question that he asked Isa was, where was that at right there? Again, Lamas asked, what is wisdom? And we all strive to be wise. And what do you have to say to that? And Isa said, it is the consciousness that man is ought, and that Allah, his man, are one, that not is not, that power is but illusion, that heaven and earth and hell are not above, around, below, but in, which in the light of ought becomes not, and Allah is all. So that I mean, you just spoke that. You just spoke that in eloquent words. We can call that, we're talking about money, power, and respect, and people are trying to get the money, and we're saying start with the power first. Okay, so when you're starting with that power first, we're gonna build up into your spiritual bank, or what we follow Abraham Hicks a little bit as far as they call it a vortex or whatnot, or different things in which you're actually centered into your own consciousness and with your own greatness, with your own source that you just talked about. So we can call that a spiritual bank. So we need to start depositing there first with the force that you create, or the force that you have within yourself. That's where you start. And people want to not believe in things that are unseen, but the easiest example is the air itself. That's the one thing that nobody can live without. Try it for about 2 or 3 minutes, and you'll see. The one thing that you can't see is the most vital thing to life on this plane. So I say that to understand dealing with things not seen by the human eye is where our power really is.
Exactly, man, and like I said, this is probably one reason why black people all over the world are just being dominated, because we're coming into it backwards. We're going to try to attack things on the physical level. There's a lot of people out there posting stuff on Facebook or what have you about black people beating up on white people and all this kind of stuff, and thinking that that's some kind of answer. It's not an answer. That's not an answer, because trying to attack our enemy from he's dominating on the physical plane, because that's where he plays at. Remember, what you just read and what I just dropped is all talking about the astral plane. That's where our wealth is. And see, we're not just talking about that same old slave day, putting all your treasures up in heaven for when you die. We're talking about money, power, and respect as expressions of faith, as expressions of applying yourself to daily, mundane, practical reality, and making that harvest you money, power, and respect as you need it. I mean, as men, we all need money, power, and respect, because this is how we shape our worldly affairs. Like I was just saying, people in Africa dying left and right. What can you do for the basic people who depend on us as men on a daily basis? Money, power, and respect to apply to our worldly affairs. Money, power, and respect to apply to our family matters. Money, power, and respect to apply to our practical relationships in life. You know what I'm saying? And the reason to do it, the reason to get involved, the reason to lend our minds to it is because we need to be the controllers, the creators and destroyers of what blossoms and ripens around us. And we need to start going into that force level, into that plane of force, and coming from the inside to the outside, so that we can express ourselves here as a living soul, because as it is in heaven, it's the same way in earth. So if you have no value, I ain't gonna say money, but if you have no value, no power, or respect here on the physical plane, it just may turn out that you may not have any money, power, or respect in the afterlife either. You know what I mean?
Man, that was heavy as well. That also brought me to another point as well. Being able to control the paradigm that's something that is, I mean, if you're going to be an alpha male, you understand that controlling your paradigm is paramount. That brought me into, over this past week, I ended up watching, because I was, I didn't know where I wanted to go on this money thing. And I ended up watching a documentary called The Corporation, The Pathological Pursuit of Profit and Power. As you know, here on the Unity Show, we're not going to go all into the gory details of, the contrast of what we're trying to accomplish. Things are being done. We do know that. And this gives case evidence of what we're talking about. So you can go check that on your own time. But this is a 2003 Canadian documentary film written by a University of British Columbia law professor named Joel Bakken, in which they did a case study on the corporation. And the reason I bring up the corporation, because in this paradigm that we live in that's been created, that is the corporation is the one who's giving out the money in this society. That, and there's a few other, avenues, but that is the dominant institution of our time, is the corporation. Briefly, what this thing kind of talked about, they did a personality diagnostic checklist from the World Health Organization manual of a mental disorder. And these are the things that, through case studying, like I said, you can go check it out, they checked off as the corporation being the patient. An incapacity to feel guilt, failure to conform to social norms with respect to lawful behaviors, callous, unconcern for the feelings of others, incapacity to maintain enduring relationships, reckless disregard for the safety of others, deceitfulness, repeated lying and conning of others for profit. And like I said, the subject of this was the corporation, and the diagnosis of it was a personality of a psychopath. And the reason I bring that up, like I said, that's the dominant institution of our lifetime, and it's being created in the form of a psychopath. So that's the paradigm that we see on getting money. So that's where I think it's very important to change that paradigm, as you said, to be in control of that. Why would we want to follow a paradigm? And in the beginning, objects of money were first used to establish relationships. You know what I'm saying? They bought families that were going to marry into each other, that established a relationship between them. So if we know that, I mean, why would you even want to establish that type of relationship with something that's been diagnosed as a psychopath? So it's very necessary in 2014 to be able to step out of that box and think for yourself and create what you think is right, as I'm talking to alpha males.
That's exactly right, man. We have to be creative, as you know. I mean, I also got in on that one, man. I watched probably like the first hour of it, and man, it was on time. So anybody who gets a chance, get on YouTube and check that out. It was called The Corporation again, right?
Yes, The Corporation. What was it? The Corporation, the Pathological Pursuit of Profit and Power.
Right.
You know, if you want to check out, a good breakdown of the paradigm we actually living in right now, that shows what's being portrayed. I'm not gonna say what we're living in because, as I said, I'm speaking to the man who's looking to do for himself. I'm speaking to myself.
Right, exactly. And man, when it breaks down the whole thing about how corporation is seen as an entity. And when you incorporate, they say that corporation is an entity. And so that entity is not a physical body. Again, like I was saying, the money, power, and respect, I had broke it down even on 3 different levels. Like money, that's your physical body or your earth. Power, that's going to be your astral body, right? Or the air. Like it was speaking about in Circle 7 that you read. The power is the air. And then respect, that's going to be the mental body, the mind, or the emotions. So these guys, if you watch Corporation, you'll see how they created theirs. And as you said, it's the the form of a psychopathic person, because they're not drawing on the same astral principles that we're drawing on. So no, we can't breathe with their air. But we can't breathe with their air, and I think the second thing that we're doing is we're trying to attack on a physical level. What we have to do is change the air. We have to change the air that we breathe, so then we can address this money, power, and respect situation on the physical level. Because like I said, money, power, and respect is going to have a lot to do with how you exist in the world, how your family exists in the world, and how you're able to maintain and create relationships. Now, they're coming from a place where the bottom line is all they're worried about. But where we need to come from, I believe that where black people, soul people, spiritual people should start is with the astral. We need to start in the astral. And really an answer for black people is an answer for everyone. So anyone who's listening to this show can use this, to your own ability. But we got to clear the resistance, and we just got to straight come with the working from the astral place. So what do we start with? We don't want to be out there ruining people's families, using people up, taking the money and then running off. So we got to start with what are those values on another level that are tried and true, that will help us and that will translate into the physical. And they're really humble values, things that people don't value anymore, like modesty, fairness, generosity. These are things that they don't have in their corporation the way that they built them. The other ones that I came up, self-discrimination, being able to define yourself, empathy, thinking about other people, willpower, get up and do something, finish it to the end, endurance, you know what I mean? Those kind of, when times get tough, still standing for the same thing. We start with that power coming from the astral place there, right? And embody those things because of the law of fate, which, everybody is all up on that law of attraction. But there's also, if you read the Kabbalion, a lot of Imhotep, just Google the Kabbalion and check that out. You'll find out there's a lot more laws than just the law of attraction. And one of those laws is the law of cause and effect, or the law of fate. And that is the first step to power, becoming a master of the law of fate and defining what